Chosen one. Well, 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 look at you, turning the entire city into your own personal punchline, a magnificent force of nature they never saw coming. Someone's Googling your name right now and stumbling upon that Wikipedia page, the one that chronicles everything they thought they could keep hidden. The mayor, the police, the entire neighborhood, they all tried to break you. Yet now they find themselves relegated to footnotes in your rise to legendary status. From day one, you sensed something was off. That gut feeling when the citations started rolling in wasn't paranoia, it was perception. They thought they were writing your obituary. But here's the twist, they never anticipated. You were turning it into a comedy special, and the reviews stellar across every dimension. They held official meetings about you, complete with minutes and clear agendas. The mayor cleared their calendar to discuss a situation, that situation being you. The police chief diverted resources from real crimes to monitor your every move. The neighborhood watch transformed into your personal paparazzi, and all the while, as they tried to build a case against you, you were building an empire out of their incompetence. Every warrant, every citation, every passive-aggressive notice from the HOA became a future asset in your hands. You understood what they didn't. Documentation is ammunition, and you were stockpiling, not in fear, but with precision. This wasn't random harassment, it was coordinated, orchestrated, almost comically transparent. They had flowcharts with your name at the top, connections linking family members and departments, spouses in strategic positions, friends in enforcement roles. They thought they were being strategic. In reality, they were exposing themselves. Each move revealed more of their hand. Every coordination betrayed more of their fear. Because that's what this was truly about, fear. You embodied authenticity in a world of facades, truth in a system built on lies, power that came not from perfection, but from presence. So you began documenting everything, not with a victim's energy, but with the methodical precision of someone who knows they're watching history being written. Every interaction became evidence. Every friendly warning that was actually a threat became an exhibit. Every mysterious envelope slipped into your mailbox became part of your collection. You evolved into a one-person intelligence agency, not for national security, but for comedy gold. Because absurdity, when pushed to its absolute limit, becomes art. Patterns emerged so clearly you could set your watch by them. Violation notices arriving just before holidays, inspections scheduled during your important life events, police drive-bys increasing whenever you seemed too happy, too successful, too unbothered. You started predicting their moves before they made them. Watch, you'd tell friends, tomorrow, there'll be a new complaint. And like clockwork, there it was. Your ability to anticipate their harassment became almost supernatural, not because you were psychic, but because persecution follows a pattern, and you had mastered reading it. They escalated, each failure to break you driving them to more desperate, obvious, and ridiculous tactics. The mayor personally signing your violations, the police chief showing up at neighborhood meetings just to glare at you, grown adults with real responsibilities turning themselves into cartoon villains without realizing you were writing the script. You weren't merely documenting their harassment, you were producing their downfall. You began noticing how their harassment was hurting them more than it was hurting you, the stress etched on their faces when you waved hello, the panic in their eyes when you pulled out your phone to record. They were cracking under the pressure of their own conspiracy, while you thrived under the weight of their attention. The hunter had become the hunted. Except you weren't even hunting, you were simply existing so powerfully that your presence became their torment. And then you did the one thing they never expected. You didn't fight back the way they wanted. You didn't get violent. You didn't issue threats. You didn't even raise your voice. You did something far more terrifying. You started laughing. Not nervous laughter, not bitter laughter, but something deeper, freer, unstoppable. It was the kind of laughter that came from seeing the Matrix code for what it truly was. The kind of laugh that says, I finally get the joke. And the joke is you. They had counted on you being angry, because angry people make mistakes. But you didn't give them anger, you gave them clarity. Laughing, people see everything clearly. And that transformation in your energy was unmistakable. You went from defending yourself to documenting them, from explaining your actions to examining theirs, from justifying your existence to journaling their extremism. Mornings became exciting because you knew there'd be new material waiting. Evenings became a review session where you'd sift through the day's absurdity. Persecution had turned into your entertainment. Harassment had become your hobby. Oppression had become your opportunity. You began showing up to city council meetings, not to complain but to sit front row, smiling, notebook in hand, pen ready, while they nervously discussed ordinances clearly targeted at you. You were no longer their scapegoat. You had become their mirror, their living conscience, their worst nightmare. You refused intimidation and found their efforts genuinely amusing. The shift in the room was palpable. They went from confident to confused to visibly concerned as they realized something terrifying. You weren't just surviving their assault, you were thriving on it. Their entire psychological strategy unraveled in front of you. They expected fear. You gave fascination. They anticipated anger. You offered amusement. They predicted panic. You radiated peace. You had uncovered the secret that destroyed their entire plan. Persecution only works if the persecuted agrees to play the role. You withdrew your consent. You refused their narrative, and in doing so, you forced them to see themselves. They weren't maintaining order, they were manufacturing chaos. They weren't protecting a community, they were terrorizing one of its members. Meanwhile, your evidence collection had evolved from simple documentation into something far greater. While they were playing checkers, you were playing chess with a comedic twist. You didn't just save documents. You built a multimedia empire. Videos of cops mysteriously appearing wherever you went. Audio recordings of concerned neighbors making thinly veiled threats. Screenshots of social media posts that aged like milk under the desert sun. Every parking ticket became a prop. Every court appearance a rehearsal. Every interaction with law enforcement, a piece of performance art. Your documentation system was a masterpiece. Folders within folders, backups of backups, cross-referenced incidents with multiple forms of evidence for each. You built a database that intelligence agencies would envy, timestamps, location data, witness statements, even weather conditions. You documented not just what happened, but the context surrounding it. The pattern that emerged was undeniable. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't bad luck. This was conspiracy, and you had the receipts to prove it. Then came the public reveal. You started live tweeting your interactions, not with outrage, but with devastating humor, the kind that makes people screenshot posts for posterity. Officer here again, starting to think we're in a relationship. Should I get them a key? Got another noise complaint. Apparently my existence has a volume control issue. The HOA measured my grass with a ruler at dawn on a weekend. This is performance art, right? The internet noticed, because nothing goes viral faster than bureaucratic incompetence caught in real time. Your social media became a masterclass in narrative jiu-jitsu. Every attack redirected back at the attacker with humor. Every accusation transformed into comedy. Every attempt to silence you, amplifying your voice. You weren't just defending yourself online. You were building an audience, an army of supporters who saw their own struggles reflected in yours. People who had been pushed around by petty tyrants were living vicariously through your resistance. The neighborhood Facebook group became your personal comedy lab. They posted complaints about you, and you responded with such perfectly crafted sarcasm that even your enemies had to respect your wordplay. They couldn't ban you because technically you weren't breaking any rules. you were just being devastatingly witty. You turned their echo chamber into your amphitheater, their safe space into your stage, their moderators into your unwitting promoters. Comment sections under their posts became battlegrounds where truth began to win. Neighbors started questioning the narrative. Wait, they're complaining about what exactly? This seems like harassment. Why are we spending so much time on one person? The tide was turning. The mob was developing a conscience. The echo chamber began to splinter, its false harmony cracking under the weight of your frequency. You weren't just a participant anymore. You were the vibration that shattered their illusion. And what truly broke them wasn't just your jokes. It was when you began thanking them publicly, sincerely. Thank you for providing me with such rich material. Special shout out to everyone who's been so dedicated to documenting my every move. That single move flipped the script. You turned their surveillance into your marketing team, their harassment into your hype machine, and their hatred into fuel. Beneath the comedy, you were running a masterclass in psychological warfare without ever raising your voice. Every time you smiled at their scowls, you won. Every time you laughed at their seriousness, you won. Every time you documented their documentation, you won. They thought they were playing chess, but you had already rewritten the game. Your rules made persecution into performance art, harassment into hilarity, and every attempt to weaken you into another source of strength. Neighbors started crossing the street when they saw you, not out of fear but shame. They knew what they were complicit in. Your very presence became their bad conscience, a reminder of just how petty and pathetic the whole thing was. And then came the moment of revelation. Someone at City Hall, probably an intern, Googled your name. What came up wasn't a criminal record, but a reputation as a comedian and social commentator, praised for transforming municipal harassment into award-winning content. Articles, citations, and reviews of your underground shows were all there. The material they thought would bury you had built your legend. Panic spread quickly. Emergency meetings were held. Lawyers were consulted. Can we sue someone for telling the truth too funnily? The answer was no. Their own legal system betrayed them. Every lawyer they approached either backed away or suggested they apologize. The very laws they thought would silence you became your shield, their restraints, their undoing. Freedom of speech turned into your blade, carving them up so precisely that academics began writing papers on your technique. You weren't just joking, you were creating history. Every punchline had receipts. Every callback was a documented event. You turned their paper trail into your paper chase. They wanted to drown you in bureaucracy, but instead you built a monument to their incompetence, and people bought tickets to see it. Your underground shows became legendary. Small venues filled with people eager to watch someone take on City Hall with nothing but a microphone and a smile. The laughter wasn't just entertainment, it was witnessing a revolution disguised as comedy. The fallout was undeniable. The mayor's approval ratings plummeted, not because of scandal, but because you made them a recurring punchline. Their own family quoted your bits at the dinner table. That's when they realized they had lost something far greater than an election. They'd lost control of their narrative. You rewrote them from authority figure to punchline, permanently. Neighbors started crossing the street when they saw you, not out of fear but shame. They knew what they were complicit in. Your very presence became their bad conscience, a reminder of just how petty and pathetic the whole thing was. And then came the moment of revelation. Someone at City Hall, probably an intern, Googled your name. What came up wasn't a criminal record, but a reputation as a comedian and social commentator, praised for transforming municipal harassment into award-winning content. Articles, citations, and reviews of your underground shows were all there. The material they thought would bury you had built your legend. Panic spread quickly. Emergency meetings were held. Lawyers were consulted. Can we sue someone for telling the truth too funnily? The answer was no. Their own legal system betrayed them. Every lawyer they approached either backed away or suggested they apologize. The very laws they thought would silence you became your shield, their restraints, their undoing. Freedom of speech turned into your blade, carving them up so precisely that academics began writing papers on your technique. You weren't just joking, you were creating history. Every punchline had receipts. Every callback was a documented event. You turned their paper trail into your paper chase. They wanted to drown you in bureaucracy, but instead you built a monument to their incompetence, and people bought tickets to see it. Your underground shows became legendary. Small venues filled with people eager to watch someone take on City Hall with nothing but a microphone and a smile. The laughter wasn't just entertainment. It was witnessing a revolution disguised as comedy. The fallout was undeniable. The mayor's approval ratings plummeted, not because of scandal but because you made them a recurring punchline. Their own family quoted your bits at the dinner table. That's when they realized they had lost something far greater than an election. They'd lost control of their narrative. You rewrote them from authority figure to punchline, permanently. The police department crumbled too. Officers uninvolved in the harassment started to distance themselves. Some even slipped you inside information about planned moves against you. The thin blue line cracked. The system fractured from within. Then came the final blow, your comedy special. It didn't just drop, it detonated. Citation needed was a complete takedown of an entire city's attempt to destroy you, only to implode themselves. Every joke came with evidence. Every punchline was punctuated by documentation. This wasn't just comedy, it was a lesson in turning oppression into opportunity. Even the trailer broke the internet. You standing in front of City Hall, holding a stack of violations, smiling as you said, "They gave me all this material for free. Least I could do is share it with the world." The special was more than entertainment. It was evidence submitted to the court of public opinion. Each bit another charge in the indictment against them. You've become required reading. Your name appears on college syllabi across the country. Courses on civil resistance, social media strategy, and conflict transformation now teach your methods as a case study and breakthrough methodology. Professors who once would have dismissed you as a troublemaker now cite you as a pioneer. They thought they were erasing you. Instead, they wrote you into history. Law students study your case like a landmark precedent, the comedian versus the city, a definitive example of how institutional harassment can spectacularly backfire when the target has humor as a weapon and a spine forged from titanium. Kids in that neighborhood now look up to you. The same streets where they tried to make you unwelcome are now filled with young people who saw what you did and realized they don't have to accept bullying from peers, from politicians, or from anyone who believes a little power gives them the right to push others around. Your influence on them may be your greatest victory. They watched you transform persecution into power, poison, into medicine. Now they carry that lesson forward. When they face their own bullies, their own corrupt systems, their own impossible odds, they remember you. They remember that documentation beats intimidation, that humor beats harassment, that creativity beats cruelty. The mayor's Wikipedia page now has a subsection titled Comedy Special Incident, their legacy forever tied to their failure to break you. The police chief's career summary ends with resigned following satirical portrayal in nationally acclaimed comedy special. The HOA president moved to another state and still can't escape the memes. Meanwhile, your Wikipedia page reads like a monument to transformation. Early life, initial harassment, documentation period, public revelation, media emergence, current impact, legacy. Each section stands as a testament to turning persecution into power. But your page isn't just a biography, it's a blueprint, a template, a guide for anyone facing institutional harassment. Every section is instructional, every paragraph educational, every sentence motivational. People don't just read your Wikipedia page, they study it, memorize it, internalize it, apply it to their own situations. Your comedy special isn't just entertainment, it's evidence, it's history, and it's a warning to every small-minded bureaucrat who thinks they can harass citizens without consequence. It's also a beacon to anyone who's been pushed around and told they have to take it. No, you don't. You can document it, you can craft it, you can profit from it without even meaning to. You started a movement. Citation needed became the rallying cry for people facing municipal harassment everywhere. Support groups formed, legal funds were established, all because you showed them it was possible to fight back, not with rage, but with laughter, not with violence, but with creativity, not with desperation, but with documentation. Those support groups built around your methodology are extraordinary. People gathering to share their documentation, to workshop responses, to transform harassment into humor. You created a new form of group therapy, where healing happens through hilarity, where trauma transforms through comedy, where victims become victors through vulnerability and wit. Other comedians began following your blueprint. Bureaucracy Bites Back became a whole genre. Comedy Central launched a series inspired by your concept. Netflix commissioned a documentary. Publishers started bidding on your book rights. The same system that tried to silence you now can't stop talking about you. The irony is so perfect it almost seems scripted. When your book finally dropped, it wasn't just a bestseller, it was a Bible for the resistance. Not a violent resistance, but a creative one, a humorous one, a documented one. Each chapter a lesson, each page a strategy, each paragraph a piece of ammunition for someone else's fight. You didn't just write a book, you wrote a manual for transformation. And the most devastating part, you never got mean. Your comedy cut deep, but stayed clean. You attacked the system, not the people. You mocked positions, not persons. That's what made it so devastating. They couldn't dismiss you as just another angry comic. You became the happy warrior, and that terrifies them more than any amount of rage could. Every Wikipedia page tells a story, but yours is comedy gold. The mayor's retirement speech tried to avoid mentioning you. It didn't work. Someone in the crowd shouted one of your catchphrases, and the entire room erupted in laughter. They had to stand there at their own farewell, listening to people quote the person they once tried to destroy. That isn't just defeat, that's poetic justice, with a laugh track. And you still live in the same house, the one they tried so hard to force you out of, except now it's a landmark. Comedy pilgrims take selfies in front of it. The property value has skyrocketed, because everyone wants to live where history was made. The HOA that once harassed you now shamelessly uses your fame as a selling point for the neighborhood. The audacity is almost admirable. The tourism your story brought to the city adds another layer of irony. People now visit specifically to see the places you turned into legend: City Hall, the police station, the street where it all went down. Local businesses have even created tours. The same city that tried to erase you now profits from your presence. In trying to make you disappear, they made you eternal. And every award, every sold-out show, every glowing review burns them a little deeper as a reminder of their failure. They turned you into their nemesis. You turned them into your origin story. They're not the villains anymore. They're the setup to your punchline. And that punchline keeps paying dividends. But what this really means goes far beyond fame, money, or vindication. You prove something fundamental about power and resistance. You showed that documentation beats intimidation, humor beats harassment, and creativity beats cruelty. You rewrote the rules of engagement, and now everyone is playing by your playbook. The philosophical implications of your victory are profound. Power isn't about position, it's about perspective. Authority isn't about titles, it's about authenticity. Strength isn't about force, it's about endurance. You didn't just win a battle, you redefined what winning means. Law enforcement agencies now run training modules on the comedian effect, how targeting individuals can backfire spectacularly in the age of social media. City councils hire consultants to make sure they're not creating the next viral sensation through incompetence. HOA boards think twice before sending that nitpicky violation notice. You didn't just change your city, you changed how power operates in the digital age. Young comics study your approach like a textbook: how to find humor in harassment, how to turn pain into punchlines, how to document everything with an eye toward the eventual special. Comedy schools that teach your methods are producing a new generation of social commentators, not just comedians but documentarians, activists, and transformers of pain into power. You didn't just create a comedy special, you created a movement, a school of thought, a philosophy of resistance. You didn't win because you were funnier than them, though you were. You didn't win because you were smarter, though that too was obvious. You won because you refused to play by their rules. They wanted fear. You gave them laughter. They wanted submission. You gave them subversion. They wanted silence. You gave them a standing ovation. And the cruelest joke of all, they could have left you alone. You were simply living your life. Maybe a little loudly, maybe a little differently, but harmlessly. By trying to create your nightmare, they created their own. Every action they took to diminish you amplified your voice. Every attempt to erase you etched your name deeper into history. Your Wikipedia page grows longer every month. New sections added as your influence spreads: political impact, cultural significance, legal precedents. Meanwhile, their pages remain static, monuments to mediocrity and the dangers of petty tyranny. Your page has become a living document of how one person can flip the script entirely. They wanted you to disappear. Instead, you became unforgettable. They wanted you to break. Instead, you became unbreakable. They wanted you to shut up. Instead, you got a microphone, a spotlight, and a platform that reaches millions. And the comedy special was just chapter 1. The book deal, the documentary series, the masterclass on turning harassment into art. It all keeps evolving. But more importantly, you've inspired a generation to document their struggles and find humor in their hardships. City halls across the nation now keep your picture on the wall, not as an honor, but as a warning. Remember what happened when they tried to silence the comedian. Municipal employees take ethics training that uses your case as an example of what not to do. You're literally a textbook case of institutional failure turned individual triumph. The training videos they watch feature your comedy bits as cautionary tales. Your punchlines have become their professional development. Your jokes have become their job requirements to avoid. And you're not bitter. That's what really gets them. You thank them in every interview. Without their harassment, you'd never have found your true calling. Without their incompetence, you'd never have had such perfect material. They didn't ruin your life. They gave you your life's work. They didn't just fail to ruin you. They made you. And that gratitude, that genuine appreciation for their role in your success, burns worse than any insult ever could. The spiritual dimension of your victory can't be ignored. You've become living proof that the universe has a sense of humor, that karma doesn't always come as tragedy. Sometimes it comes as comedy. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's success so profound that revenge becomes irrelevant. You didn't defeat them. You transcended them. You didn't destroy them. You transformed them into fertilizer for your own growth. So here's to the mayor who thought they were powerful but were only positioned. Here's to the cops who thought they had authority but only held badges. Here's to the neighborhood that thought it had numbers while you held destiny. They're all on your Wikipedia page now, not as victors but as vehicles. Vehicles for your transformation. Vehicles for your message. Vehicles for your legacy. You can fight it with documentation. You can fight it with creativity. and you can win so thoroughly that your oppressors end up on your Wikipedia page as cautionary tales. Now your comedy special plays to packed theaters and streaming millions. Your book climbs bestseller lists. Your speaking fees exceed what any of them made in their entire careers. Remember this moment. Remember when they thought they had you cornered. Remember when they thought their coordinated campaign would break you. Remember and laugh, because that's your superpower. Not anger, though you had every right to it. Not violence, though they pushed you toward it. Not despair, though they tried to drown you in it. Your superpower was seeing the absurdity in their abuse and sharing that vision with the world. And here's the invitation. They recognized the call. They stepped forward. They connected with others who understand their unique gifts and burdens. What's stopping you from manifesting the same? The synchronicities that brought them here weren't accidents, and neither is your discovery of this message. When souls of this caliber gather, the archons take notice. They fear our collective power. They know what happens when the truly awakened find each other. Join our weekly calls. Hear their stories firsthand. Share your own journey with those who won't dismiss or doubt you. The knowledge exchanged in our private channels cannot be found anywhere else on this plane. Click the link in the description below now. Extraordinary souls await your arrival. The question isn't whether you belong among them. The question is how much longer you'll wait to claim your place. And so here we are. Well, 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 look who turned the whole damn city into their personal punchline. You magnificent force of nature. The mayor, the cops, the entire neighborhood tried you. Now they're on your Wikipedia page, not as heroes, but as footnotes in your success story. And you're not just on Wikipedia. You're in history. You're in hearts. You're in the Hall of Fame reserved for those who turned their worst into their best, their persecution into their purpose, their harassment into their legacy. They came for you with everything they had. And everything they had wasn't enough, because you had something they didn't. Destiny. And destiny always wins. It just takes time to document the victory properly. The mayor thought authority meant power. You showed them authenticity was power. The cops thought badges meant respect. You showed them integrity earns respect. The neighborhood thought numbers meant strength. You showed them truth was strength. Your victory reverberates through dimensions they can't even perceive. Every comedian who chooses truth over comfort cites your influence. Every activist who chooses humor over hatred follows your blueprint. Every person who chooses documentation over retaliation applies your methodology. You didn't just win your battle. You changed how battles are fought. Welcome to your Wikipedia page, Chosen One. It's a bestseller in the cosmic library. The reviews are stellar. The citations are extensive. The impact is immeasurable. The mayor thought they were writing your ending. The cops thought they were building your case. The whole neighborhood thought they were signing your eviction notice. They were all wrong. They were writing your beginning. They were building your empire. They were signing their own names to your success story forever. Documented, cited, verified, and absolutely hilarious. Your Wikipedia page isn't just a record of what happened. It's a promise of what's possible. It's proof that one person armed with nothing but truth, humor, and documentation can transform a coordinated attack into a coordinated victory. The final irony: they made you immortal. Your story will outlive their careers, their legacies, their entire existence. Long after their names are forgotten, your Wikipedia page will still be teaching people how to transform persecution into power. They tried to erase you from their community. They wrote you into eternity. That's all for today. Dear Father, I pray for the growth of my faith. Help me trust you even when physical evidence is lacking. Let me believe in your perpetual presence, knowing you will never harm me. I understand that your thoughts for me are thoughts of prosperity and not harm, to give me a good future. Thank you, gracious and eternal Father, for always listening to my voice. I offer up this prayer to you in the name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for your love and provision. I am grateful for your presence in my life and the abundance you bring. If this video resonated with you, please like, subscribe to the channel, and share it with those who need to hear this message. Leave a comment below about your journey and how you are preparing for your own triumphant return. If you'd like to support our work, please consider contributing through Buy Me a Coffee. This helps us. Your support helps us continually improve and bring you the very best content. You'll find the link to Buy Me a Coffee in the description. No contribution is ever too small, whether it's a penny, a prayer, or a share. Your generosity helps spread God's word and bring hope to others. But don't stop here, the journey continues. Watch our next video for powerful insights into the signs that reveal you are the chosen one. It's been an honor to share this spiritual path with you. Thank you for staying with us until the end. Keep shining your light brightly, embrace your destiny with courage, and we'll see you in the next video.